Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching and welcome back to my channel. So today's look is really simple. It is my quick and easy everyday makeup routine. So it's more of a natural makeup look, as you can see. So I didn't vote, I put a poll on my Instagram of what you wanted to see. People mostly chose glam, which I filmed and put on my Instagram, but I thought I would do a tutorial or a makeup look which is more natural, just because I feel like more people would relate to this kind of makeup, and you can obviously take some tips and tricks from me as well. So this is more so like my everyday makeup routine. It is hard to kind of generalize it because everyone is different and everyone's perception or interpretation of natural is different. So obviously you can take elements and adapt it to your own makeup routine. So this is the look that I came up with. Obviously I don't do this every day, but I showed you every single step that you could do. I'll do like one or two of these steps if I'm in a massive rush, but I'll do all of these steps if I've got a bit more time. I want to look natural, but I still want to look a bit more put together. So if you do want to see how I got this look right here, then just keep on watching. So today's video, hi everyone, thank you so much for watching. Hi. Let's clean this shit up. Oh, where the fuck is my fucking bronzer? Okay, so let's get started. So obviously you want to start with a clean base. You want to wash your face beforehand, cleanse, do whatever you do in your normal skincare regime. Why do I always get really out of breath? Just do whatever works for your skin. I'm not a skincare specialist, but it's always helpful to go in and see the people who know what they're talking about. So some sort of skincare specialist or like a skincare brand in like a department store, that kind of thing. I'm going to stop rambling. So anyways, obviously this is a quick and easy natural makeup routine. These are the steps that I do when I'm in a rush but I still want to look presentable. I haven't got much time, but I do want to not necessarily look like I'm wearing loads of makeup. I don't mind the kind of look of makeup, but it's more so just to enhance my features and so I look presentable but still like myself. You can obviously use less or you can apply more depending on your preference. I just picked that spot and now it's gone really red. And then obviously following that is moisturiser. So I've already moisturised. Another good little tip is using like a hydrating moisturiser to make your skin look really glowy underneath your makeup, just because that will automatically make your skin look really fresh, and then when it looks more fresh and glowy you'll find you don't need to use as much makeup as well, and you can just use makeup on the areas where you need a little bit more coverage. I like quite a glowy skin, so I've already put my normal moisturiser on, and then also strobe cream from MAC as well, because that's a really glowing moisturiser, and then I also spray the Iconic London Prep Set and Glow. So you just shake that up. Oh, it's running out. I spray that all over. Obviously it's a spray, so it's really quick and easy. No matter what though, just always moisturise. No matter how little time you have, just whack it all over really quickly. You could do that whilst running down the stairs, you know? Okay, so the next thing is, sometimes what I do if I'm in a massive rush, so I do this a lot. So say if I do my makeup on the train, I'll do this step. Or if I'm going out like running errands on the weekend and I don't really want to have to put loads of makeup on, but I do want to look a little bit more presentable and give some colour back into my skin, I will go straight in with bronzer. So I'll literally just buff a powder bronzer or a cream bronzer over the high points of my face. So I'll either go in with MAC Mineralized Skin Finish, so the one I have at the moment. It's well loved, it's the dark deepest bronzer, and I will use this on the areas where you would normally get a suntan. So that is normally the high points of your face, so you'll always catch it a little bit around the forehead, you'll catch it a little bit on the nose and kind of down the bridge of your nose and onto your cheeks, and then I will also buff it on the bottom like jawline and buff it upwards. So it's kind of going like all the way around, but I won't put like loads on my brush. So I will use that on a Spectrum A01 brush. This is obviously slightly larger, so it does the trick very quickly because it's nice and large. I will start on my forehead, so I'm just going to push my hair back. And I kind of start in the hairline and buff this on the forehead. I find as well, because this brush is so fluffy, it doesn't apply too much. Because obviously you don't want to go overboard when you're just putting bronzer on. And then down the nose and a little bit on my eyelids, because you will naturally catch the sun there. And then whatever's left on my brush, I start to buff it around the cheek area. So this is the step that I would do if I was just going out on the weekend and I needed to like go shopping or something. I would literally just whack a bit of bronzer on, because when you've got a bit more colour in your skin, you instantly look kind of more fresh and more healthy. You know, we feel like in the summer our skin looks, in the winter our skin looks really dull and really pale. So just by putting a little bit of bronzer on, just gives a little bit more life back into the skin. I'll do this more so if I'm having a really good skin day. As you can see, I've got quite a few breakouts just because it's that time of the month. So I probably wouldn't just put this on its own if I was having a really bad skin day. So obviously it depends on how confident you are with your skin. So that might be a really good step if you're a mum and you don't have a lot of time. You could just put a little bit of bronzer on all over and some mascara, and you just look that little bit more awake, but you look like you haven't got any makeup on at all, but you woke up like that. Okay, so sometimes I will do that step, so I'll put bronzer on and then I'll do my foundation or my concealer. Obviously that sounds really weird, putting your bronzer on before your foundation, but I actually found that I use less foundation or concealer when I put bronzer on first, because the bronzer doesn't necessarily give me coverage, but it does tend to even out my skin a little bit. And then I find I just don't put as much foundation on. Whereas when I apply foundation on my bare skin, which is really pale, and I use a slightly darker foundation anyway, I find I just want to cover it all up, and then you end up with a bit of a mask, and then you don't look as natural if you are going for the natural look, and then you've just got like shitloads of foundation on and then nothing on the eyes, and then you just feel like your eyes are completely lost. So this is a good little tip if you don't want to apply too much. Right, so the next step, I'm not actually using foundation today. If I want to be a bit more natural, I'll literally just go in with concealer. So the two concealers that I tend to use is the MAC Pro Longwear concealer in the shade, I normally use the NC35, but I've obviously got my darker one because I can't find that one. So this is NC42, and then I'll go in with my Tarte Shape Tape concealer in the shade Light Neutral. So because this is too light and this is too dark, I just tend to mix the two. So obviously the trick in looking natural is just putting the concealer where you need it, because obviously if you're going to go in with foundation all over, that's when you tend to lose the natural like pigment in your skin, and then it just doesn't look like real skin. So I just tend to put it in areas where I need it. So obviously a little bit underneath the eyes and right in the inner corners. We tend to be quite dark there. And then around the nose. And then obviously you can use the brush to spread the product out and blend it out, because when you use a brush you tend to shear out the product. So I'm now going to use my Spectrum B01 brush. So this is a flat top foundation brush. So it's a little bit dense, but it's got a little bit of movement to it, so it really helps to blend out the product. You can do bouncing motions like this, so that will keep the product where you put it, because you're obviously not moving it around as much, and that will give you more coverage. Whereas if you swipe it like this, what you're doing is obviously shearing it out, so you're making it look more natural. If I'm in I cannot speak. If I'm in a rush, I tend to literally kind of do both motions. I'll swipe and pounce and dab. So obviously if you don't do the bronzer bit first, this is obviously the step where you would do like your powder and your bronzer. So on a day-to-day basis, sometimes I don't really tend to put powder on because one, it's an extra step in my routine. But if you are more on the oily side, then you do want to set your foundation with a powder, just because it's going to set it in place, stop the oil coming through, and just stop it from moving. And also if it feels a little bit tacky to touch, then obviously by putting a powder over the top, you'll obviously setting it and getting rid of that tacky feeling. So I will just tend to use the MAC Prep and Prime translucent powder. This is great for soaking up any oil. So I'll literally just put that on areas where I feel like I get a bit oily. The next step is highlighter. So I feel like this is a vital step in my natural makeup routine, because obviously I'm not wearing a lot of makeup, but I do like to enhance the glow in my skin. Just because you don't have a lot of makeup on, I feel like it just makes you look a little bit more interesting, and it just makes you look more healthy. And I think obviously glowy skin is really in at the moment. Everyone loves a glow, and it just makes your skin look more healthy, as I said. So I'll sometimes go in with my MAC Oh Darling highlighter. If I'm doing my makeup like on the go, this will normally be in my makeup routine. I've also been loving the Be Perfect Cosmetics highlight palette in collaboration with Mitchell or Mitchell. So this is obviously a highlighter palette. So you've got all different colours for all different skin tones. But the colour that I tend to use is Babley, which is this one here. It's the more kind of champagne colour. And I'll sometimes mix it a little bit with Lifestyle, so it's the more gold colour as well. And I use that on my favourite highlighter brush, which is the Spectrum A10 brush. This is from the Snow White range. I prefer more fan brushes for highlight in the daytime. Because it's a fan, obviously it's really loose. It doesn't pick up too much product, so you don't get that like stripe, kind of, you know, that stripy look that you can sometimes see. Because it's so loose, it really diffuses the product. Whatever's left on the brush, I also take it on the cheekbones as well. So when you're looking straight ahead, you can still look really glowy. And then also on the nose. For eyebrows, depending on how long I have in the morning, because eyebrows probably take me the longest, but I will always try and do my brows, just because I feel like it completely changes your face. So if I don't have any brows on, I do feel like my face looks incomplete, and my brows are really sparse. They are just not very even, and the colour isn't great. If I am in a super rush, or if I'm doing my brows on the train, then I will normally use the MAC brow pencil. So this is the twist up one with the pencil on this end, and then the brush on this end, so you can comb the product through. Then if I've got a little bit more time, I'll use my brow powder and my angled brush, so my A17 angled brush by Spectrum, just because that gives me more of a defined look. Whereas using a pencil, you will obviously tend to get more of a natural look. I mean, you can get a really defined look using a pencil, but I do feel like it takes me a lot longer to do that. But if you've got, you know, naturally quite good brows, but then they're a bit sparse, then you can literally use the pencil to kind of fill in the gaps. So if I am in a massive rush, but I want a bit more colour, and I want to fill in those annoying gaps, then I will fill it in really quickly. So you almost want to do like little flicky motions. So you don't want to actually draw on the brow, because that's when it tends to look really drawn on and just very unnatural, and you just end up getting more of a harsh line. But by like flicking it in and like feathering it just in the areas where you need it, it just looks more natural. And once you get to the front, almost flick from the bottom upwards, because you always want it to look a little bit more dense at the very bottom of your brow. And the only thing with pencil is it's really hard to get it soft at the front. So that's why it's good to have a little brush because you can just blend that in. See, I won't always do every single step every single time that I do this natural makeup routine, but obviously I want to show you all steps to this routine, so you can always take the ones that you feel like will make the biggest difference, or you can kind of adapt them to your own makeup routine. So I am going to show you every step as I said, but don't worry, don't think, oh my god, that's like my full makeup routine, because everyone's interpretation or perception of natural is completely different. So this look might be like really full on for some of you, but like I said before, just take elements of it. You don't have to do all of this. So if you're in a rush, then it's always good to use products like multi-use products. So I will sometimes go in with my bronzer as my eyeshadow. So I did kind of mention this in my post on Instagram. I gave you 5 quick beauty tips and this was one of them. Just because I always do this, I stand by this step just because I feel like it makes a massive difference, and it's the one step that I would always teach like my clients or customers when I worked at MAC, and that would always make like the biggest difference, or one of the biggest difference, and they'll be like, oh my god, I never thought of that. And obviously people don't always want to buy loads of products, so obviously using something as a multi-use product, you're obviously saving money as well and saving time, because you're not faffing around trying to find your palette or trying to find your eyeshadow, but you've got right here your bronzer. I feel like I ramble so much, so sorry. So the reason why I use bronzer is obviously it's got a warm undertone. So when you use more warmer colours around the eyes, they just tend to wake up your eyes, in my opinion. If you also do have blue eyes or green eyes, they do complement your eye colour. But you can use this on any colour eye. You don't have to have just blue or green eyes. But just this colour in general does just wake up your eye. It adds warmth, wakes up your eye, and it also adds a little bit of definition at the same time, just because you're enhancing your natural eye socket, so you're kind of bringing out the natural shape of your eye. If you think about it, if you use more of a grey or a blue or just cooler tones in general, then that can make your eyes do the opposite and make your eyes look more tired. Because if you think about it, we all have quite like grey, bluey tones around our eyes. So if you think, when you get rid of that, your eyes instantly look more awake. So if you're going to use like a grey eyeshadow, in my personal opinion, I feel like it doesn't do anything for your eyes. It doesn't like wake them up. So if you are doing like a quick and easy makeup look and you want to look really fresh and awake, then using a colour more like this will help you achieve that. I'm really sorry that I ramble, I just have so much to say. Okay, so I love using that on my A08 brush, also by Spectrum. This is it's a little bit flatter than your usual blending brush, but I just prefer that because it fits right in my crease really easily. Okay, so you can do this in literally under a minute if you're really quick. Sometimes I faff about, but if you're in a rush, sometimes I do this on the train. Find your socket. So as you can see, it's right where the crease of my eye is. Find your socket and literally follow your eye back and forth. Okay, and then I have to add that underneath the eye as well. I just feel like this completely completes the eye look by adding a little bit of warmth under there. Okay, so I'm using that on my A12 brush by Spectrum. This is more of a pencil brush, so I feel like it fits under the eye really nicely, but it has a little bit of give to it as well, so it kind of blends it out at the same time, but it's a little bit firm as well, so it still applies it exactly where you want it. And again as well, you don't have to be fancy with this step. You can be really quick with it and just buff that. Okay, so the next step that I will do sometimes, not all the time if I've got a little bit more time, so I will add my highlighter. So this is Nylon by MAC, and I will use that on a MAC 242 brush, and I will literally, very lightly, add that to the inner corners. Sorry, my camera just cut out, how rude. So what I was saying was I also put a little bit of highlight on the inner corners of my eyes, because I feel like that makes such a difference with just making you look a little bit more put together. and just adding some light to your eyes. Just makes your eyes look nice and pretty and just catches the light kind of when you turn. And then finally for the eyes is obviously mascara. So the one I've been loving at the moment is Max Factor Masterpiece. I came across this, I just stumbled across it because I was in London and I forgot my mascara because I was doing my makeup on the train as usual, and I forgot my mascara, so I just picked this up by chance, and it's actually one of my favourites now because I prefer more of like a comby brush, and I'll always focus on my lashes. So if I've got no eyeshadow on, I'll always try and put shitloads of mascara on, just because I don't have great natural lashes. So when I have no mascara on, you can't see my lashes at all. So just by coating them a couple times, like even if I don't have loads of time, just by coating them, just to make them look more visible, like that actually there. And for lips, so sorry, just ran up the stairs to get my lip liner. Okay, so for lips, I don't tend to do a lot, just because I work in an office, so I don't really want to waste it. So I'll normally just put my lip balm on. So the lip balm that I use is the Elizabeth Arden 8 Hour Cream, and this just makes your lips look really healthy. It actually makes your lips more hydrated, and it just feels really nice. You can use it on cracked, dry areas, and you'll wake up and it will be gone. But it just makes your lips look nice and healthy. So as soon as you get rid of those cracked lips, they just instantly look more plump. But if I'm feeling a little bit more fancy and then I'm going out for lunch but I want to look natural, I'll put a little bit of lip liner on and then use a colour that is similar to your natural lip shade. So it just makes them look a little bit more plump, but still really natural. And then sometimes I'll go in with my gloss. So this is a cream sheen gloss, also by MAC, which is in the colour Boy Bait. So this is more peachy, just because I prefer more of a peachy colour over my lips. That is pretty much my natural everyday makeup look. Obviously, like I said, natural is different to everyone, but this is my natural look. Hopefully it gave you some tips and tricks. You can take them and adapt them to your own makeup routine. But please let me know what you want to see next time, and please subscribe if you aren't already. But that is pretty much everything from me. Thank you so much for watching, and you'll see me in my next one.